Today is the final day of the World Economic Forum in Davos. Maria, there all week, speaking with top leaders about the economy. Sat down with the president of Poland, Andrzej Duda, to get his take on his country's economy and where the war in Ukraine is going. Watch.
Can you give us the status of the war on Ukraine on Poland? What is the impact?
Przede wszystkim zacznijmy od tego, że
This attack of Russia against Ukraine, which happened on the 24th of February 2 years ago, was the reborn Russia's imperialism. If it is not stopped, if it is not defeated, then it will devour also other countries. That is why Russia has to be stopped.
President Biden is urging congressional leaders to approve more money to Ukraine right now. What is your assessment of the needs right now in terms of aid in Ukraine?
przede wszystkim opór Ukrainy od
In the beginning, we heard voices that Ukraine was going to fall within 3 days. Then we heard voices that it was going to fall within 1 week. Well, it did not fall. It did not fall. It has been fighting this war for almost 2 years now, and Ukrainians have been defending their country. Of course, first and foremost, it is thanks to the heroism of the Ukrainian soldiers. But also, another element is international support, including, and I would like to stress this very strongly, U.S. support. This kind of help, this kind of assistance encompasses financial means. It also encompasses armaments, which are being sent to Ukraine. And there is also the humanitarian assistance, which is being provided from all the countries of the free world. But the United States ranks absolutely first in providing this kind of assistance. Without this support, without international support, but first and foremost, without the U.S. support, Ukraine would not be able to win this war, and Russia, Putin, would win this war.
You have also announced plans to spend more than 4% of Poland's gross domestic product on defense next year, this year as well, amid these security concerns, $33 billion. Tell us how that money will be allocated and why you increased it.
To rzeczywiście fakt.
Already last year, we spent 4% of our GDP on defense by doing huge purchases. Especially, we are buying military equipment from the United States. We have been able to purchase state-of-the-art Abrams tanks from the United States. So already the first items of those tanks have arrived in Poland. We have also been buying the Patriot system from the United States. This is the cutting-edge three-layer. We are developing a cutting-edge three-layered air and missile defense system in our country, and Patriot defenses constitute an first and most important element in that system. Apart from that, we are in the process of purchasing F-35 fifth-generation fighter jets, also from the United States. That decision was taken by President Donald Trump. We are doing that thanks to his decision. But there are also a lot of other procurements that are ongoing, that are in the pipeline. We are also hoping that we'll be able to buy very soon 100 Apache attack helicopters, also from the United States.
In addition to the death and destruction that has been caused by this war, inflation is also spiking, as evidenced by a carton of eggs in Russia up 60%. What has been the impact on Poland's economy and inflation?
No przede wszystkim przeżyliśmy.
Well, yes, indeed. We did survive a very big shock last year. That was in the aftermath of Russia's aggression against Ukraine. And there was a huge fear in Poland concerning the security of our energy market. However, the Polish government took effective actions and effective decisions, and the government was able to constrain the rise of prices, especially to cushion them off for the households. So that action was effective. We did have a big inflation in Poland. It reached 18%, but now it is suppressed thanks to the effective policy conducted by the Polish National Bank, Polish Central Bank. We have managed to get this inflation under control. Now it stands at the level of 6%.
So what is the consequence of no more U.S. aid to Ukraine?
No, jeżeli się
The U.S. has got the most powerful armed forces in the world, and it is our biggest ally, of course, within NATO. So Ukraine does need this support. It provides the biggest support to Ukraine, and without this support, this help from the United States is also the only hope we can say for Ukraine to prevail. Because without that help, I'm afraid that Russia will not be defeated.
You have been at odds with Prime Minister Tusk. Tusk's new administration trying to get rid of people associated with the previous Nationalist Law and Justice Party government, trying to take control of the media, public media, roll back the changes to the justice system that set off a multi-year conflict with Brussels. Mr. President, how will you deal with Tusk in the middle of all of this?
Przede wszystkim bardzo spokojnie.
I belong to the conservative wing of the Polish political stage. I'm a conservative politician. Now, the government, recently elected one, as I said, in the October elections, has got this liberal left profile. So it is quite obvious that we differ in our approaches to politics, and we also differ in our views. But right from the start, I stressed that I'm open to talk. I'm open to discuss. And I just fulfill my role as President of Poland. It's been my 9th year in the office. So I'm just doing what belongs to me. As I said, I approach the situation in a very calm way, in a very consistent way. I'm acting based on the Constitution and based on the Polish law. Now, the new government has already violated the provisions of the Polish law and the Constitution by trying to introduce changes in the public media, for example. Well, that court also passed a decision and confirmed that those changes happened actually with a violation of the Polish law. So I called right from the beginning to stop it and to abide by the law and by the Constitution that we have in Poland.
Okay, and our thanks to the President of Poland.